Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. This video is part 1 about the full moon in Cancer that's happening on December 26th at 7:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this video is about 5 things that I want to share with you. This is part 1. Part 1 is where I go over the full moon energy. Part 2 is available on Patreon, where I go into details for the sun, moon, and rising and see whatever messages or anything comes up pertaining to that. So of the 5 things that I want to share with you, the first thing is the numerology. And when it comes to the numerology, this full moon in Cancer is happening on December 26th, year 2023. So we're wrapping up. This is the last full moon in the year 2023. And the year 2023 has been an interesting one that has been about spiritual revolution for me, evolving to the next level spiritually. It was about strengthening faith and just getting still, being still. And with the full moon happening in the 7th year, the last full moon happening in the 7th year, something comes to an end when it comes to home, family relationships, how we nurture ourselves. But within the 7th year, there's this spiritual evolution having to do with this full moon in Cancer. And with it happening on the 26th, the number 2 is nurturing. The number 6 is family oriented, but 2 + 6 is 8. The number 8 is systematic. The number 8 is the overseer. I think about December 2023, and December 2023 adds up to the number 1 vibration. So that brings a sense of new beginning, even though this full moon has everything to do with endings. And when you think about the energies in the day, December 26, 2023, adds up and reduces to number 9 vibration. And the number 9 is all about endings. So something is definitely wrapping up, coming to an end, or ready to evolve to the next level. But we're definitely walking out of an old cycle and getting ready to walk into a new one. Even though when we get into 2024, on New Year's Day is when Mercury goes direct. So I feel like we still enter 2024 with Mercury in retrograde, which brings me to some kind of a revisiting or a reflection that's necessary. And Mercury is in retrograde at the time of this full moon energy. The second thing that I want to share with you is what happens when we have a full moon in Cancer. So a full moon is when the sun and the moon oppose each other in opposite signs at the exact degree. And the full moon is at 4 degrees. The number 4 deals with foundation stability. So something about the home, about the family, or about our emotions, or maybe our relationship with our mother is shaky, or something is unstable. And we're going to figure out what's unstable to be able to start building a new foundation. And like I said, full moon in Cancer is when the sun and the moon oppose each other. So the sun and the moon opposing, to me, it's like a conflict within a person, in the sense that the moon is our intuition, it's our inner world. The sun is our identity, it's like logic. So to me, there's a fight when it comes to both, opposed to them coming together and working for the greater good. And whenever there's a full moon or an opposition, to me, it's compromising that's necessary in order to make these energies work. So I look at, full moon in Cancer, the sun is in Capricorn along with Mercury in retrograde. The sun is in Capricorn, Mercury is in retrograde in Sagittarius. So with the Sun in Capricorn conjunct Mercury retrograde, you know, our mind is reflecting on going back to school and ways we could add value to ourselves, or maybe traveling or having new experiences. And the moon is in a place where we want to focus on home. So it's like with the opposition with the full moon, our inner world wants to climb into a safe space, but then we feel pulled to go outside of ourselves, maybe because there's resources that we need. So it's like you can't just close the world out and stay inside your home. You're gonna have to go out at some point because you need resources, you need food. So whether that's literally someone, you know, closing themselves off and, you know, within the world, within themselves in their home, or closing themselves off from different opportunities and different things that are outside of themselves, things that are outside of their comfort zone. To me, there's an opposition when it comes to this full moon having to do with our comfort zone and the things that make us uncomfortable. And of course, in order to get to wherever it is that we're trying to get to, that'll bring the most peace, happiness, and security, will require us to come out of our comfort zone. The third thing that I want to share with you when it comes to this full moon in Cancer is the challenges. And I feel like the challenge is that comfort zone thing. I was having a conversation the other day with someone who has strong Cancer within their chart, and they were saying how, you know, their Virgo placements or whatnot is the reason for them keeping to themselves the way they do. And I was saying, you know, that's a possibility, but that Cancer placement is a very scary placement. I say scary because when you think of the crab, I always go back to the hermit crab and how the hermit crab spends its life trying to find the right shells in order to cover itself up from the harsh ray of the sun. So that brings me to us as individuals not wanting to expose ourselves to the sun, which is the egos, other people's views or identities, or clashing with other people, fearing the consequences of being wrong or disliked or rubbing people wrong or whatever it means, like, or whatever will come from that. Like Cancer energy is all about security and stability, so much to where we will isolate ourselves and drown in anxiety trying to protect ourselves. So I feel like when it comes to challenges with this full moon and Cancer energy is recognizing ways how we isolate ourselves, ways we hold ourselves back in order to protect ourselves. And, you know, in order to get the freedom that we want or the experiences that we want to have, we will have to, you know, take chances. And I feel like the challenges with this full moon is that, you know, we're being pulled outside of ourselves. We're being pulled out of our comfort zone. Like I said, it's like the person who's stuck within their home, or they're not stuck, but they want to stay within their home, but they have to go out and face the world in order to feed themselves, in order to provide for their families. And they could see it as a horrible thing, or they could see it as an opportunity to stretch and grow. The fourth thing that I want to share with you when it comes to this full moon in Cancer is what's unexpected. When it comes to what's unexpected with this full moon in Cancer, some people could find themselves deciding to sell their homes, to relocate, maybe move apartments. Something about the home and the living situation can change. It could feel like a sudden and unexpected change, but I feel like it was a change that was coming. I think of the person who's overlooking the repairs or overlooking certain bills and responsibilities, and then, you know, something happens and it seems like there's this sudden thing that causes drama or challenges to come up in the household, but really things were already out of control. And, you know, it's that straw that broke the camel back. And we're focusing on the little thing that created this big thing, but not the fact that things have been piling up to this point. So I feel like when it comes to certain unexpected challenges that might occur around the home, the family, with the mother, or the living situation, it's not as unexpected as we think it is. There was always signs leading up to that thing, but for whatever reason, we overlooked it, and now we have to face it, because no matter what, like change is happening, whether we want to accept it or not. It's like the energies in the day adding up to number 9 vibration. The number 9 deals with the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. So there is an opportunity for us to walk into a new world, into a new experience. But in order to do so, we're going to have to let go. The fifth thing that I want to share with you guys about this full moon in Cancer is the blessings. And I feel like some of the blessings that might come from this full moon in Cancer energy might be a renewed relationship with your mom or your family, or, you know, might be an opportunity to do something with the home. And it might come in a way that's scary. It might come in a way that, yeah, is scary, is terrifying. Might come in a way that feels like your worst nightmare. But when it's all said and done, it's exactly what was needed. That was the only way to bring it forward. I think about, say, watching some kind of a sci-fi movie type vibe, and a catastrophic event happened, but that event needed to happen in order to bring these lovers together. It's like something that feels like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that can happen, is actually a blessing in disguise. So when it comes to blessings for this full moon in Cancer energy, I feel like certain things will fall apart in order to bring new things into your life, new opportunities. When it comes to this full moon in Cancer, I look at the T-square that is happening between the moon in Cancer, Neptune and Pisces, and the Sun conjunct Mercury and Mars, Sun in Capricorn, Mercury and Mars in Sagittarius. And when I look at the challenging aspects being made to the moon, it brings me to us being in a space where it's an interesting space when it comes to this full moon energy. It's an interesting space to me in the sense that there's this part of us that don't want to be alone, don't want to go within ourselves and be alone. And we don't want to go out into the world either. The way how I would interpret this is like imagine someone who has social anxiety. So they don't feel comfortable being out in social environments, and probably just like being by themselves, where even with family, they get social anxiety. And it's like, while they're home by themselves, you know, this energy might require sitting in silence to reflect in order to dig up some truth or get the guidance that's necessary. But instead, while home in silence, you know, this person is escaping through YouTube, podcasts, Netflix, eating different things. So it's like, even though you're home in the comfort of your safe space, it's like silence is necessary, reflection is necessary. And with this full moon energy, it's like, you know, a person avoiding the reflection that needs to happen. And I feel like the reflection that needs to happen will determine the level of transformation that comes with this full moon energy. What I mean by that is, I think about the number 9. And when I started studying the number 9, I started seeing it as like your senior year. And your senior year in school and how you graduate will be determined by like the past years, what you did. You know, all that you did will be looked at and determine where you're placed the next year. And I feel like this full moon, you know, energy, we're wrapping up one thing, but based on our actions and what we learn from our experiences, how we take accountability and see our role in things will determine where we land and how fast or how far we move forward. Or do we find ourselves in a reoccurring cycle of insanity? So when it comes to this full moon in Cancer energy, I do feel like, you know, the fear of not wanting to let go, the fear of change can definitely be a factor. But I feel like what's beneficial when it comes to this full moon in Cancer is a purging, a releasing. A purging and a releasing in the sense that this is where you want to bust out the journal or the recorder, and you want to be honest, like brutally honest about like what you're feeling, what it is that you're going through, and what's not working for you. And you just want to write your honest thoughts about it. Like for me, it's me writing to God and saying, God, it's not fair, blah, 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 blah. And in the process of me complaining and throwing a fit, I always come around to seeing my ways and seeing how ridiculous and selfish I'm being. But then after doing that release and completely emptying, that's where I start now writing about my ideal situation as if it has already happened, and thanking God and my future self and my current self for the sacrifices, for the bravery, and whatever it took for me to get to that ideal. So I feel like when it comes to this full moon in Cancer, it's like, where is Cancer in your natal chart? Something is coming to an end in that area of your life. And I feel like it's a perfect opportunity to cleanse, to release, purge, you know, whatever thoughts or beliefs that you have when it comes to that thing, whatever that thing is. And then, like I said, write about the future successful version of you or experience that you would like to have when it comes to this energy. I do like, though, that the moon is being positively aspected by Jupiter in Taurus, Saturn in Pisces. So with those positive aspects, it brings me to the fact that, you know, we're sitting at home, we're reflecting. So whether we're sitting at home or reflecting on our home and living or reflecting on our emotions, security, stability, and our dreams are important. And we're thinking about practical ways how to materialize them. But at the same time, there's some introspection and alone time that's necessary. And we need to put that time in so that we could get the guidance that we need. The way how I would see this is like avoiding sleep. It's like, to me, like getting sleep is like the time alone that's necessary. Or it's like if we avoid sleep for so long, we'll start to hallucinate, or, you know, like it really negatively affects our health. And I feel like that's the same thing with a person avoiding silence and time alone. It starts to affect a person's health. And with Cancer being cardinal emotions, this could cause some of us to experience anxiety because we're overlooking or ignoring something that's desperately calling for our attention, so we can understand it, release, and, you know, allow ourselves to move on to whatever is next for us. But for me, when it comes to this full moon in Cancer, I know that, you know, there will be challenging aspects to it, as with Mercury in retrograde causing us to reflect on ourselves, our legacy, reflect on pretty much how, you know, where we're trying to go in this life and how we will get there, freedom, different things like that. I feel like with this full moon energy in Cancer, it will allow for me opportunities to deal with any emotional things that may come up that would serve as some kind of a catalyst that will help me to become more emotionally aware, more emotionally stable. But this full moon energy is all about recognizing, accepting, and allowing ourselves to feel. This is my message about the full moon in Cancer. Such a pleasure sharing it with you. If you'd like to check out part 2, where I go over sun, moon, and rising and pull some cards and go a little bit deeper for each zodiac sign, that video is available now on Patreon. The link is in the description box below. If you'd like to book a natal chart awareness coaching session with me, the link for that is also in the description box below. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a brown heart in the comment box below. I would love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.